haunted trailer in Louisiana. I have lived in the same trailer for the past 10 years, just different areas in Louisiana. The first 5 years seemed to be going well. There would be times that I would hear a doorknob being jiggled or hear someone call my name, but would just shrug it off as I was hearing things, since when I would go back to check it out, no one would be there. We lived in a pretty bad neighborhood, so at the end of the 5th year of living there, we had the money to move and bought some property from a friend. I really don't have much information on the trailer or the property that we live on at the present time. My boyfriend told me that he had found the trailer about a block away from where we live. It had been abandoned and people in the neighborhood had vandalized it. He decided he wanted the trailer, so he pulled the trailer out of all the weeds and started renovating it, which is now a pretty nice trailer. Just recently, I was talking to one of my neighbors and found out that the subdivision, or as I would rather call it, trailer park division, used to be a plantation. The couple that lived on the property passed away, and their children decided to make a subdivision out of it. Eventually, the oldest bought the other's shares and decided to sell plots of the property for trailers. This is all the history I have so far on the land, or the trailer that we are living in for now. So here is the rest of my story since we have been living there. Since we have moved in this area, I have experienced quite a lot of things. After first moving here, I started hearing the jiggling of the doorknobs again, just like in the beginning, but I just shrugged it off as usual, as I was just hearing things supposedly, is what my mind was telling me. After a few nights of hearing the jiggling of the doorknobs, I started getting curious to what it actually was. I got out of bed, grabbed my boyfriend's handgun, and walked to each door and opened each one. My boyfriend was out of town, working at the time, so it was just me and my 2 boys. I know, right? Maybe not the safest situation for a mother to be in. After opening all the doors and no one jumping out at me, I walked around the trailer and nothing was there. This went on for a few months, then it stopped. A couple of weeks later, after the deal with the doorknob stopped, I decided to mess around on the computer after the boys had gone to bed. I was talking to some friends in a chat room, and out of nowhere, a nickel fell on the top of the desk. I looked around the room, looked back at the door, which was still shut all the way, and couldn't determine where the nickel even came from. So I guess I just said thank you. I needed that, and went back to what I was doing. A couple of days later, I was watching TV, waiting for the boys to get home from school, and felt someone pull my hair. I turned around thinking I was going to see one of them standing behind me, but no one was ever there. The most recent thing that has happened a couple of weeks ago. We usually get season passes to a water park every summer for the boys. It's the last weekend that they would be open. I wasn't feeling so good, so we ended up not going. I had put my shoes under the coffee table and had my purse in a bag I used to carry my son's insulin and stuff in on the side of the couch. After running bathwater for my son and sending him to take his bath, I walked to the kitchen to fix lunch for everyone the next day. I finished fixing the lunches and cleaning the kitchen, and so I went to sit down to watch a little TV. My shoes were on top of the coffee table. My purse in the bag was sitting on the couch. I know my son didn't do it, and my boyfriend didn't do it either. He was on the computer at the time. I just shook my head and said sorry, but no one is going anywhere, and put everything back like it was. Trailer spirit. I lived in a trailer with my dad after my parents divorced. One night, as I was making dinner, I heard a knock at the door, and when I looked out, there was no one that was there. It kept happening all night long. I just ignored it. I thought that maybe it was some sort of echoing since the trailers were so close together. The next following months were okay. Nothing really happened. After I graduated high school, though, things started getting strange. While taking a shower, I could hear what sounded like stomping, and my dad was rarely there. Always working, I guess. In the second bathroom, there would always be a sulfurous smell, like rotten eggs or something. The back room, where I slept, would always have a chill. It was even cold in the summertime. I started sleeping in the living room, and night after night, a pair of headlights would always illuminate the room. There was never any headlights because as soon as it would happen, I would peek out the window, and it was always pitch dark. Things never seemed to work right. The television would turn on and off. The heater would turn on in the summer. The shower would always turn on and off. Everything would end up in the weirdest places. The salt shaker would end up in the bathroom. Canned food would be on top of the fridge. There was always flies in the house. I mean, just everything was always missing. I reconciled with my mom and ended up going back to live with her. About a month later, my older brother separated from his wife. Like father, like son. So we stayed with my dad, and it was easy for them because they both worked together. I visited my dad and brother quite often, and my brother started telling me things that were happening. Of course, I related and told him that even though it was spooky, nothing bad ever really happened. Exactly 1 week later, my brother moved out and didn't give any real explanation to my dad. He ended up telling me that there was one night alone and his wife was going to come over and talk about the marriage. He said that someone kept calling on the home phone, but nothing showed on the caller ID. There was whispering and static noises. He said that he could kind of hear a man and woman arguing, and that each time he could hear the woman say, "You don't even love me." He said that's what she would say over and over again, barely above a whisper. As soon as his wife got there, it stopped. He said that when she came home in the trailer, she felt like she couldn't breathe, and that she felt this sense of overwhelming sadness. He just ended up leaving because he said that it scared him. I think the phone ringing was what made him really leave. My dad ended up moving in with his new girlfriend, and one night we were all out. Myself, my brother, his wife, my dad's girlfriend. Well, we started talking about the trailer and how creepy it was. Mind you, we never told my dad about what we heard or saw. He told us that one night after we were all gone, he was asleep on his bed, which was directly on the floor, by the way, and he felt like someone was choking him. He woke up and just thought that maybe he was dreaming. He went back to sleep, and he said that something was pulling at his arms and legs, pulling him into 2 different directions. He turned on a small lamp and said that he could see someone's reflection in the window, that it was a man with a baseball hat on. When he tried to get up, it vanished. He said that maybe it was a dream, but it didn't explain why his arms and legs were hurting. My dad called me before he finalized the move out and had me come get some figurines that I had left in the back bathroom. I didn't know what he was talking about, so I went over there and went to the back bathroom, and before I could really make it there, I heard glass smashing. It was the figurines. They were all thrown to the ground, But the weird thing is, those were not there when I packed up, and no one knew where they came from. We also found a shoebox full of old pictures, and inside we found a few pictures of the man that my dad saw. To this day, we still have those pictures. It's like we can't seem to throw them out. The landlord said he didn't know who the previous owners were to that trailer. He bought it at an auction. Ivy, the trailer park ghost. My second encounter started back in 4th grade. Keep in mind, I am 18 now and graduated last June. Me and my parents were tight on money, so we moved into an old trailer. My dad fixed up the trailer, but got it running. So a few days went by, and I started hearing about the person who lived in my trailer before me. The person was a man named Ivy. This mean old man who was abusive to his dogs and was overall a bad guy. He one day had a heart attack and died in the living room. So one night, my 2 dogs slept in my room. I was just about to fall asleep when I heard footsteps too light for my heavy-step family. I kept hearing footsteps, and one night, my little brother, we shared bunk beds, woke up and saw an orb float over me, then fly over above our toy chest. I once was very thirsty and went to get a glass of water. When I walked out, I saw a black figure on my couch sitting down. Terrified, I quietly said, "Mom?" The figure looked at me and I ran back to my room, petrified and scared. I still heard footsteps until the day we moved. This was only my second experience and got me more into the paranormal. I'm not sure if the people who live in that trailer have ever seen Ivy's ghost. Maybe the legend spooked me into seeing and hearing things. I believe I saw something, and my brother would back me up. But one odd thing is, it only seemed to happen at night. Not sure why, but I only got a weird feeling during the day, like I was in someone else's house. My younger dog and my older dog barked so much they had to be in my room at night. Even in a different instant, I was outside playing with my dog. I saw a black figure in the shadow from a distance. It scared me, so I decided to throw a snowball at it. Maybe he learned not to mess with me, or maybe that was just a warning that I gave him. I don't know. I guess I was just a kid and it was just a reaction of some sorts. That stupid ghost. I don't care about him. Clearly, he was an asshole. The trailer. My trailer was newly fixed up with a koi pond and a tether set in the front yard. It seemed great for a child who wasn't really used to staying in one house for very long. I helped my dad dig the koi pond and decorate it as a Mother's Day present, and my little Cocker Spaniel would sit beside it for long, lazy hours that summer. Who would have thought it was because she didn't want to be inside? Inside, the trailer is basically a long hallway. You walk in the front door and you're in the living room. To the right is my parents' room, and to the left is the kitchen, then the bathroom, and then my room at the very end. I was sitting on the laundry hamper, positioned against the far wall of the hallway outside the bathroom, waiting for my mom to finish the bathroom so she could start The Wizard of Oz for me. Being 4, I wasn't allowed to touch the electronics. I was easily bored, so I went from staring at the closed bathroom door to my bedroom door, just a couple of feet away. I was in for a shock that day. Instead of what I thought I would see, I found myself staring at a little boy. Well, a vague outline anyway. He was kind of gray, and I could see my door, and dolphin poster through him. I stayed where I was for a couple of minutes, my mind trying to process what exactly was going on. Without warning, the boy disappears, and I charge into the bathroom. My mom plays it off to my overactive imagination, and my older cousin, Valerie, playing tricks on me. But Val wasn't even in town that day. She was in Kendrick with her dad. I didn't know it at the time, but Mom was experiencing stuff too. She was talking to our family friends in a chat room one night when the bathroom door slammed shut. My uncle, I've always called him Binky because that was his chat room scream name, asked why my mom was so freaked out. It's probably just Ash. Alan, she's spending the night with her grandma and John's out on the road. She was alone in the house. I'm going to see what made the door slam. Despite Binky's protest, she marches down the hallway with a pistol in hand and opens the door so hard it swung back and hit the washer with a loud bang. The light in the room was on, but no one was in there to have it turned on. There was one window in the bathroom, but it doesn't open. After that, the lights began to flicker on and off, but only on days when Mom was by herself, with no one else to witness it. For my 6th birthday, I got one of those dolls that talked when you plug one of its little accessories in its hand. I hated that thing and all talking dolls for the living hell, so I had my daddy take the batteries out and then buried the stupid thing in the bottom drawer of my dresser, hidden under piles of underwear and Barbie clothes. For weeks, that damn doll tormented me, continuing to talk at all hours of the night while I tried to sleep, despite the fact that I had all the accessories in the bottom of my toy box. I got fed up with it one night and opened the little flap on its back where the battery compartment was, only there were no batteries to make it run. I was scared so badly that I had started to shake and threw the doll across the room. My parents didn't believe me the next morning when I explained what had happened, and my granny was mad that I had thrown such an expensive toy out. To this day, the only dolls allowed in my room are Polly Pockets and Loving Family. I was 8 when my parents had their first New Year's Eve party in our trailer. Our only guests being a married couple and their 2 youngest kids, Josh and Kyle. Josh is 2 years older than I am, and Kyle is my age. He and I were born 15 hours apart in the same hospital, and our dads were best friends in high school. Us 3 kids got bored and decided to go outside to play a game that was a mix between hide and seek and tag. It was dark out, but as long as we stayed in the yard, our parents didn't mind. It was my turn to be it. So I was walking around the trailer, whistling to myself when I heard an echo. That was weird for me because there was nothing around for my pathetic whistle to echo off of. I turned around thinking Josh was being a butt and mocking me, but the boy standing by our camper isn't my friend's older brother. You see, the boy is around my height, I think Bilbo, with shaggy blonde hair and blue eyes. He seemed to smile at me, giving me a wave. I'd never seen him before, and first thought that came to my mind was stranger danger. So I took off running past him, yelling my fool head off. Kyle, Josh, there's a boy, there's a boy. Of course, said boy disappears the moment I opened my mouth. I never saw him again, but I don't remember feeling scared of him. Just confused about why there was a stranger in my yard at 10 o'clock at night.